Let's talk about the Instagram bio for artists now. In this space, in this question, there are a lot of opinions. Some people say put a CTA in there. Some people say put an authority line in there. Some, like a lot of recommendations. But all of it is kind of BS because all of them are merely opinions. And we can invent our own opinions, but we cannot invent our own facts. And guess what? We actually have facts about it. We know there is science around it that erases all opinions and that can tell you what to do exactly in your Instagram bio. We don't have to think about it anymore. We actually know in the past 2 decades there has been more than enough science that we can use to make sure that our Instagram bio is perfect. So let's talk about that. Number 1, what do we actually want with our Instagram bio? What do we want? What do we want people to do afterwards? We want people to make the following decision. We want them to get to know us. We want them to check out our profile. We want them to make that following decision to step a little bit closer into our lives. Now that is a decision. Okay? And it's not gonna happen by us asking, hey, make this decision, please, ? Some kind of CTA. That's just not how it goes. And so we have to go towards the neuroscience of decision making. We have to go towards the neuroscience to understand what the foundation psychology is of that decision and how it is always made and how we can therefore then influence it in our Instagram artist bio. So let's talk about that neuroscience. Now, we know if we look at the brain under fMRI, EEG, all types of brain scans, that when a decision like that is made, that first the limbic system fires up and lights up. And then only after that limbic system has fired up, the neocortex, the rational part of the brain, the outer part kicks in and justifies what happens there. Now, what is the limbic system? The limbic system is the system that is responsible for emotional processing. And now we know also decision making. And so that all this part, that emotional part, is actually responsible for the decisions that are being made. The neocortex justifies those emotions. And then we perceive it as a rational decision. But it's an emotional decision. And so we know that with our Instagram artist bio, if we want to influence the decision that is being made to check out our profile, we have to play on emotion. There's no other way. We have to play on emotion. When we understand that foundation, we understand that a CTA might be functional, but only as an addition. An authority line might be functional, but only as an addition. Having some kind of pitch elevator type, one-line thing that clearly states who you are, who you're helping, might be beneficial, but only as an extra. We need to capture that emotion. So, let's give you some artist Instagram bio IDs. Now, I could have gone on the internet and searched for amazing artists and then see their bio and then give that to you because it's an amazing bio, but that would be a lot of work. And so I thought, why don't I invent some bios myself? That's gonna be made way easier. So let's go. First one is an artist. His name is Jeff Boons. He's from Iran. Jeff Boons shouldn't be confused with Jeff Koons, although he also makes balloon dogs. And so Jeff Boons, his artist bio might just look like this. You can pause right here and check it out. Now, the interesting thing about this artist Instagram bio is that it captures. It sets you up a particular path and then suddenly it moves away from that path in an unexpected twist. You realize that the sound of the balloons popping reminds him of a child trauma. And so it, like this captures. We know that unexpectedness is one of the triggers for emotion. We use that a lot in writing. You will find this also in comedy. A lot of comedy writing is done on that deception, like setup and then bam, something completely different and people laugh. Unexpectedness is a trigger for emotion, and so you can use that Instagram bio trick right there. Now, besides that ending that captures, it also conveys some information. We know that he's an artist. We know that he lives in Iran. We know, like, these things for people, for example, who live in Iran, who are also artists, who stumble upon that profile, they have that information and then they can feel like, hey, this doesn't only feel or relates to me emotionally, but he's close by. I might be able to be connect with him or whatever, like there's information on top of that. And so that's crucial. We're going to talk about that in the next section. Now, so this is what you want for your artist Instagram bio. Now, let's give you another Instagram artist bio ID. Now, this one is actually my own bio. Why not, So you can pause again here. Now, this one is not as extreme, No, it's more like giving a little bit of a joke or something, and it's not a full laughter joke. It's not some kind of joke where people should read it and then burst out in laughter. No, it's a subtle joke. It's a chuckle, 20%, 30%, 40% of people who read this will actually think like, hey, waiting for his midlife crisis since 1992, that's kind of funny. And not full funny, kind of funny. And so humor is another trick that you can use, another Instagram bio trick to trigger that emotion and to make sure that they can imagine stuff. Like in the Jeff Boone's example, people are imagining this whole thing. Like, what is he like? What is his youth like? Did he saw his brother getting killed or his friends or what happens? Like, they have seen news flashes from Iran in their life. Like, they can imagine an actual biography. And so this is a very powerful way. If you, in one sentence, can suggest or push people into fantasizing about what your actual bio, your full bio will be, that's a very powerful way to do that. And the only way you can do that, by the way, is by utilizing that limbic system and connecting emotionally with that viewer. That's the only way possible. So now, in the second part of this video, we're going to dive into some extra Instagram bio tricks or social media marketing tricks for artists that you can build on top of this layer of limbic system emotion tactic, whatever you want to call it, and that's gonna make sure it's even more powerful. But it's also a complex section in that, like the first one, the limbic system one, is just obvious and clear. Anybody who will do that will benefit from it. Anybody, like doesn't matter if you're a photographer and you need a photographer Instagram bio, or an Instagram bio for musicians, or a makeup artist Instagram bio. It doesn't matter. You can use the same thing. That limbic system thing is just psychology. Psychology doesn't change. Your profession might change, but psychology doesn't. Now, in the second part of this video, that is not true. You need to be somewhat smart to interpret and execute on it properly. If not, you're just gonna make mistakes. But anyway, let's go. Here's what you will see a lot of artists do in their Instagram artist bio. They will use an authority line to convey some kind of authority. For example, best-selling author, or a TEDx speaker, or prize-winning artist, or awarded artist, something like that. Now all these things are cool, except for the fact that everybody can be a best-selling author nowadays with Amazon, literally. Like, the best-selling authors, most of those Instagram pages that have best-selling author on them, they have sold 80 books. Okay? So this whole thing, like TEDx speaker, anybody can be a TEDx speaker. Anybody can win awards in the art world. I've won several myself, but I don't put it in my Instagram bio, as you see. So what is it about these authority lines, and when are they functional and when are they complete bullshit? Now, here's the thing. Will you convince people with those authority lines? Yes, you will. but you will only convince 90 to 95% of the population. You will not convince collectors. You will not convince market mavens. You will not convince connectors or sneezers or anybody that you need in your art career. You will, however, convert and convince the masses. And so you have to decide if you're in viral marketing or if you're not. If you're in viral marketing, you're only selling cheap stuff like €5 books, perhaps that's a good tactic. But if you're not, if you're selling art, high ticket objects like artworks for thousands of euros, then this sales approach will not work, because collectors and connect and all those people that you want, they know it's not hard to be a best-selling author anymore. And so with these people, you are going to repel them. You're going to push them away from you. And so you don't want that to happen, of course. Now, the third one that I want to explain to you guys is the idea of the call to action. Now, this tip, you will see this on the first page of Google. How to write a perfect Instagram bio. Bam. Make sure to put a call to action in there. Cool advice. But not for everybody. And so when you're selling high ticket objects, when you're selling expensive stuff, like for example artworks, putting a CTA, like for example, make sure to check out the price list of my art. I've seen that on Instagram before. Make sure to check out the price list over here. Like seriously, like that's just, if you're doing that, it's the equivalent of going to the girl in the bar and saying, "Hey, cool shirt, wanna have sex?" Like these things don't work. This girl is gonna hit you in the face. She's not gonna, I don't know, like have sex with you. Now, if you're selling something cheap, like a €2 fidget spinner, for example, this approach might actually work. But then it's the equivalent of going to the girl in a bar and asking, "Hey, what's your name?" "Hey, what's your name" works. People like that. People actually answer to that, and then they interact with you. Cool. But if you're selling higher things like having sex yourself, if you're selling something as expensive as yourself, those CTA approaches don't work. So you have to be careful with it. If you're an artist who has a blog or a YouTube channel or anything of that nature, go for those things. You can definitely capture their attention and drive them to some kind of decision or some kind of action. Cool. But if you're actually going for brand equity, I would leave those things out. If you look at the best art Instagrams, you will see them using one or several of the tricks that I just explained, but let's add some extra Instagram bio tricks in there. Let's go. The first one. Now, if you change your profile picture, or if you change the background in your profile picture on Instagram or any other social media platform, at this moment you will have a extra click-through rate that is 40% higher than normal. Now that's a pretty cool trick. That's 40%. Depending on which tactics you're using. If you're 180 strategy, Gary Vaynerchuk tactic, if that's your style, if that's what you're doing, sure, that's going to be a really smart thing to do. That's 40%. If that's not what you're doing, and not a lot of people naturally see that, then that might not be a good tactic. Then that might sound a little bit silly. A lot of collectors will be repelled by it because they see it's a competitive market advantage that has a very short lifespan, and they don't really like people who invest a lot of time in that, because they want people who are in there for the long term. And so depending on your tactic, this is going to be good or bad. So think good about it, think it through. Now here's another one, using different fonts in your Instagram bio. Sure. You're going to step out because most people use the same fonts. Is that something that I would do? No, I wouldn't do that. I don't need to jump out, Like my art jumps out automatically. I think using different fonts would be insecurity instead of confidence about my art. Now, for other artists that might not be the case, you know, like other people like fonts just a lot. I don't know, like it depends on your style. Another trick that you might do is putting in your name, instead of your artist name, putting in there your profession as well, because it has more searchability. For example, your name is Jeff Boons, you could say Jeff Boons Iran sculptor, you know, like cool. People might type into Instagram Iran sculptor and then they might stumble upon your profile like that. Those are all ways. And so yeah, I think my name is Dries Ketels. I'm pretty confident about that. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just here to help you out. You can subscribe, comment, and I'll see you later. Ciao, ciao.